What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast. Here to review, you guessed it, Monday Night Raw from May 3rd, 2021. What else can I say about the show that I haven't already mentioned? This show, of course, was pretty terrible. We got a couple new things that happened on this show that a lot of fans are kind of scratching their heads of. But overall, what are my thoughts on this show? Again, terrible booking and just, the exception of one little thing that I'm actually happy about. But everything else on the show was kind of I don't want to even say it was pretty terrible. I just didn't enjoy the show whatsoever. Taking notes on this show is pretty bad, but it is what it is. And yeah, so the very first thing that comes up on this show is a backstage segment, which they said was courtesy of WWE.com, but that's a flat out lie because how is it courtesy of WWE.com if you're airing it on television? Okay, that made no sense, but but basically, Adam Pearce and MVP were backstage, and basically Adam Pearce was flipping a coin to see who Bobby Lashley faces tonight on Raw, whether it would be Mclntyre or Strowman. It ends up being Strowman. And yeah, so right off the get-go, they're going that route. Basically, this week Strowman is going to be facing Mclntyre, and most likely, and it was already booked, but after watching this very first segment, you knew from the get-go that Mclntyre was going to face Lashley next week. All right, we start officially with Omas and AJ Styles. Now, last week, I was actually wondering where these guys were. These guys are finally back. All right, they basically cut a promo about how they beat the New Day. They asked the WWE Universe if they missed them. The New Day come out to confront Omas, and the New Day later come out to confront Omas and AJ. They say that there's a reason why they're 11-time tag champions. Kofi later proceeds to talk about his WWE title win, which, by the way, I was there. Amazing moment where he won the WWE title against Daniel Bryan. Says that the New Day did not take a vacation, unlike Omas and AJ when they were champions, or when Kofi was champion when he was WWE champion. He actually moved. He actually went to Raw, even though he was not part of the roster. Hashtag wildcard rule, right? The wildcard rule is terrible, by the way. Woods says that they will be 12-time tag team champions. And then who knows? We get a tag match between Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the New Day, versus Omas and AJ Styles. All right. Styles and Woods start. AJ tags Omas. Woods pulls some Orange Cassidy kicks on Omas. Literally, he was not doing, I'm just exaggerating, but he was basically kicking Omas, and Omas is just no-selling it. He works on Omas. One thing I will say about Omas is that he's mad slow in this match. In this match at Mania against the New Day, he was pretty slow as well, but it is what it is. Omas sends him to the corner. Kofi tags in, kicks Omas. Omas no-sells it once again. Omas pushes Kofi to the canvas. Woods tags in. We get a double drop kick by the New Day on Omas. We get a double clothesline by Omas. Works on Woods. We get high fives. Yes, I said it. We get high fives, not a tag, by AJ and Omas, but the referee just instantly is like, yep, nope, that's a tag. So that made no sense. That was stupid. Roll up by Woods on AJ. We got a slide drop kick by Woods on AJ. Kofi springboards over the top rope on AJ outside the ring. We got a cover by Woods on AJ. We got a 2 count. Stomps in the corner on AJ repeatedly by both members of the New Day. Drop kick by Kofi. We get a cover and a 2 count. We get a jumping knee to the face by Kofi on AJ. A Pele kick by AJ Styles on Kofi. Woods tags in. AJ takes Omas. Omas grabs the head of Woods. Backbreaker by Kofi by Omas. We get a backbreaker on Woods by Omas. Runs into each corner on Woods and Kofi. He drops Kofi. Woods kicks Omas in the knee. We get a big boot by Omas on Woods. Styles tags in. Phenomenal form by jumping over. He basically jumps. He jumps from the top rope over Omas and hits the freaking phenomenal forearm on him. We get a cover and a 3 count. AJ and Omas retain the tag titles. Honestly, I didn't like this match. I didn't care for this match. Omas was really slow and he was no-selling a lot. Granted, he is a giant, so of course he's going to be no-selling moves, but at the same time, I wasn't invested in this match whatsoever. I thought I mean, WrestleMania rematches now. I thought that was for WrestleMania Backlash. That's why he called it WrestleMania Backlash, but it is what it is. All right. We get Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce backstage. Pearce states that she's going over bounce lately, and, as you guys know, she reinstated Charlotte after a week of her suspension, which made no sense whatsoever. And yeah, we go to commercial break. And then we get a video package of a returning, yes, she is coming back, Eva Marie. Now, the internet, especially on Twitter, was really angry about this, about how the fact that Eva Marie is coming back. And look, I don't blame them. Eva Marie was not great at all in the ring whatsoever. A lot of people say that she had no business being in the ring, but, this is what I will say. I will not jump to conclusions whether or not Eva Marie is terrible or not in her return. She was terrible in her first run. I'm not going to lie. But I'm going to give her a shot. If she is good, then I'll say she's improved. And that's great. But if she's doing the same crap, yeah, get out of here. No. And look, I will give it a shot. I'm not going to jump to conclusions like other people. Give her a shot first, and then give your opinion on her new run. Maybe she has improved. Who knows? We do not know. Maybe she has trained extensively throughout the time she was not active in WWE. But I mean, I'll admit though, her first run was god awful. She was not good in the ring. She did train, I believe, with Brian Kendrick. Correct me if I'm wrong, to try to improve. But that was a couple years ago. Who knows if she's trained? But I do believe that she has been training. But at the same time, I'm not going to jump to conclusions like other people. But if she has not improved in the ring, I'm just going to be like, yeah, she's terrible, and there was no reason for her to be brought back to WWE. But I will say this though. Another reason why a lot of people were kind of mad about this is about the releases that happened, like Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. The Iconics were released. Now, granted, Billie Kay was not the best. She was better as a comedy act than a wrestler. But Peyton Royce has actually improved, and she was not perfect in the ring, but she has improved drastically throughout a couple of her matches. But I don't know why they released her. And another reason is that they released Samoa Joe they released the Iconics and Samoa Joe for Eva Marie. I mean, yeah, but it is what it is. I will give her a chance though. One thing I'll say is that I will give her a chance, and maybe she probably improved. And if she improved, awesome. If she didn't, yeah, it's not going to cut it for me. But that's my thoughts on Eva Marie and her return. All right, we get Bobby Lashley and MVP, one of multiple Bobby Lashley and MVP backstage segments. Talks about how Lashley's going to beat McIntyre and Strowman at Backlash. MVP states that he will beat Strowman tonight. Cuts his typical MVP promo. MVP's awesome, by the way. I really enjoy MVP. And Bobby Lashley's an awesome champion, and he shouldn't lose that title. If he loses at Backlash, I'm done with this company. All right. The New Day is backstage with Elias and Jackson Riker, and they're planning on throwing tomatoes on the New Day. This whole tomato thing is so stupid. It's one of the most childish things I've ever seen in a wrestling show, and Raw especially. I mean, there's a lot of childish jokes that are not funny at all. And instead of Riker and Elias throwing tomatoes at the New Day, they throw tomatoes at Randy Orton out of nowhere. And the funniest part about this segment was just Matt Riddle just rides his scooter past Randy Orton. He's like, "Hey, Randy." That was the funniest part. But the whole tomato thing was stupid. But when Matt Riddle just passed by him, that was hilarious. All right, we get Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Okay, Charlotte, has been reinstated in kayfabe. And last week, she basically destroyed Mandy Rose. And this week, she's going up against Dana Brooke. Typical WWE booking. All right, notes on the match. Both lock up. Charlotte states that she is still her protege, going back all the way to 2016. Remember that, guys? Dana gets some offense. Stomps by Charlotte. We got a cover and a 2 count. Kick by Charlotte on Dana. Cover and a 2 count. We get an enziguri by Dana Brooke. Charlotte fights back. Kicks and elbows in the corner by Dana on Charlotte. Dana gets some repeated rights and lefts in the back of Charlotte. And while she was doing that, oh my God, the camera was cutting so many times. When Dana was just repeating her rights and left shots on Charlotte in the back in the corner of the ring. Literally, those camera cuts were everywhere. I swear to God, it was not even funny. Kevin Dunn, stop with those camera cuts. That's why WWE sucks. Those camera cuts just make them so unbelievable. And literally, am not invested and I start getting a headache. I already had a headache, but like my headache just went up to like 1 million after those camera cuts, because there was like every second was a freaking camera cut during that match. Dana goes to the top. We got a swanton by Dana, covering a 2 count. Charlotte targets the knee of Dana when she was cartwheeling. Yes, she targeted the knee. Figure 8 by Charlotte, and Dana taps out. Charlotte wins. Mandy Rose attacks Charlotte after the match. Sonya Deville comes in, agreed that Charlotte basically wanted to make a proposal, and she says that she wants to be added to the title match between Rhea and Asuka. And then Sonya says this: since the men have a triple threat match at WrestleMania Backlash, okay, Charlotte, you're added in, and you will be in the title match, and it will be a triple threat. So just because the men have a triple threat match means the women need to have a triple threat match. I mean, okay, and what difference does that make? And not only that, like, adding Charlotte in the match is so stupid. Like, really? Charlotte, again? This literally goes, like, I swear, watch Charlotte go over. And she's going to go over in this match, and everybody's going to be pissed, including myself. Charlotte does not deserve another title shot at all. She doesn't deserve another push. I'm sorry. She does not deserve another push. Look, she's a great wrestler, but my God, she has gotten so many opportunities, and she's gotten a lot of pushes from the office that, like, it's not even funny anymore. Like, it's just become, like, the people behind Gorilla, your Vince McMahons and your Bruce Pritchards, honestly believe that Charlotte is a draw. No, she's not. The draws in the women's division are, in my opinion, are your Bianca Belairs, your Baileys, and your Sasha Banks. They're not your Charlotte Flairs. Nobody cares about Charlotte Flair. Everybody just doesn't want Charlotte to win another title. I'm sorry. Like, she doesn't need another title, okay? Just because her last name is Flair doesn't mean that she needs another title and you have to book her as, the 16-time women's champion just because her last name is Flair. Okay? I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. You don't have to constantly book Charlotte in these title matches that she does not deserve. Give that opportunity to women like Liv Morgan or Ruby Riott. You know what I mean? Give it to a Shayna Baszler, for God's sakes. Give it to a Shayna Baszler. You have a lot of talented women on both rosters, and you really have to give Charlotte another opportunity? Come on now. This is why WWE sucks now. And no, look, do not compare Charlotte to Roman Reigns of now. Compare Charlotte to basically Roman Reigns in 2016. That's just my opinion. Compare Charlotte from Roman Reigns in 2016, where WWE was just not listening to the fans, and they were just shoving Roman down our throats. Now they're basically shoving Charlotte down our throats because they know we hate her. But, oh, she's a heel. Okay, when it comes to a heel in wrestling, there are 2 different types of heat that heels get. One is correct, one is the right type of heat to get, and the other is a different type of heat to get. The right type of heat to get when you're a heel is legit heel heat that people actually want to pay to go to the arenas or pay to watch the pay-per-view in this instance, because we're in COVID season. So people want to pay to see you get your ass kicked. But the other type of heat is the heat that heels shouldn't get, is go-away heat, which means that the ratings go down the toilet because they're getting shoved down each and every one of your throats. That's the type of heat that Charlotte gets, okay? She gets go-away heat instead of heel heat. That's my opinion. Now, granted, there's no fans in the arenas, but knowing social media, I feel like she gets that go-away heat instead of legit heel heat. That's my opinion. Look, Charlotte is great in the ring, but she does not deserve another opportunity. Like, how many titles has she won already? Like, seriously, how many titles has she won? And people say, oh, other women are not draws and they're not great. Look, some women are not great in the ring, but there are women out there that are great in the ring. Like, literally, your Shayna Baszlers, your Ruby Riotts, your Liv Morgans, you can do something with them. Instead, you're putting Shayna Baszler in a freaking tag team with Nia Jax. Put her in the main event. Put Shayna Baszler in the main event. That's all I got to say. All right. And then Rhea Ripley comes out after that, and, she basically cuts this promo. Look, Rhea Ripley has become overly scripted, and it's been terrible. Sonya and Charlotte attack Rhea, and then a brawl breaks loose. Asuka comes out, like, before the brawl, and she's just, like, complaining and all that stuff. We all know what happened. But, like, again, Charlotte does not need to be in this match. It's ridiculous. Humberto Carrillo is backstage. We got an interview. He says that Sheamus is a bully. Says that he knows how it feels to be bullied. Says that he's not afraid of Sheamus. He says that he's not afraid of Sheamus in both Spanish and English. And then Sheamus attacks Humberto from behind. Says that Humberto won't be a part of the Open Challenge, but there will always be next week. Great. Damien. Well, actually, no. We come back from commercial and we get Sonya backstage with Adam Pearce, and they argue about Charlotte being in the match. Bro, fans are literally complaining that Charlotte is in the match. Let's be honest. Miz and Morrison complaining about how they got hit with tomatoes last week. Talks about how he was in the main event of WrestleMania and he's a former WWE and United States champion. Yeah, that was 10 years ago, bro. It's 2021. That was 2010 and 11. That was 10 years ago. We don't need to know about that. We know. Talks about all the titles he won. I'm not going to mention anything else because the segment was mad cringed and nobody cared. All right, Damien Priest versus John Morrison. This is not that bad of a match. Priest works on Morrison. Morrison fights back. We got a headlock by Morrison. Priest sends Morrison outside the ring. Knee by Priest. Morrison counters and hits repeated elbows on Priest. Cover by Morrison and a near fall. Headlock by Morrison on Priest. Priest drops Morrison face first to the mat. Right hand by Priest. We got a back and forth by both. We get repeated kicks by Priest. Morrison fights back with an elbow. Morrison counters with a spin kick with his own kick. Damien Priest counters with a kick and sends Morrison in the corner. Picks up Morrison. Morrison escapes. We got a clothesline counter by Priest, covering a 2 count. Priest goes to the top. Spanish fly by Morrison, which looked pretty dope, from the middle rope. Cover and a 2 count. Miz tries to distract the referee. Inside cradle by Morrison. We get a near fall. Priest hits the Reckoning, not hit the lights, and wins the match. Overall, not that bad of a match. Priest is awesome, but the fact that he is in this ridiculous angle with John Morrison and The Miz, and just last week he was just throwing tomatoes with the New Day, is beyond me and ridiculous. Priest should be, at least right now, he should be in mid-card status, and then when he's in mid-card status, you can at least build him up and maybe send him to the main event, because this guy, if you just look at Damien Priest, this guy looks like a main event guy. But, I mean, you can't trust WWE, especially on Raw. I mean, like, Raw is such a terrible show that they don't even build anybody. All right. Adam Pearce is backstage, and he signs Mansoor. And then Mansoor, of course, you guys know, he's been, I believe he's been in 205 Live. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't watch 205 Live, but, yeah. Mansoor is great in the ring. I really enjoy his work. I've seen a couple clips of him. He was also in the Saudi Arabia shows as well. Sheamus comes in and talks to Pearce and proposes a match with Mansoor. Well, yeah, that match is basically going to happen, but it's not going to happen for the U.S. title. We get a backstage interview with MVP, and he isn't surprised that Lashley and Mclntyre are going to be teaming up to take out Strowman at WrestleMania Backlash, and it just goes on and on. Literally, MVP has been in multiple backstage segments and like in this show, like seriously. All right. And then we go to commercial break, and then literally out of nowhere, a match between Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik against Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander happens. Literally made no sense. We get a Michinoku driver by Alexander on Grand Metalik. We get a cover and a 2 count. Shelton tags in. We get a body slam by Shelton. Then we get a second body slam by Shelton Benjamin. Drops Metalik, cover and a 2 count. We get a backbreaker by Shelton, cover and a 2 count. Alexander tags in, works on Metalik. Metalik plants Alexander. Lindsay Dorado tags in. We get a devastating clothesline by Shelton on Dorado. Works on Dorado in the corner. Shelton catches Dorado trying to go for a Hurricane Rana. Cover and a 2 count. We get a tornado DDT by Dorado. Alexander gets sent outside the ring. Springboard crossbody splash on Alexander outside of the ring. Springboard elbow drop by Grand Metalik on Shelton and wins the match. Yes, Grand Metalik pins Shelton Benjamin. All right, then all of a sudden after that, Cedric Alexander just goes on a rant and just confronts Shelton, says that Shelton was the weak link of the Hurt Business and says that he is in his prime unlike Shelton and says that their tag team is no more. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, they break up Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. I mean, this is WWE we're talking about. I mean, they should have never broken up the Hurt Business. They should have been a dominating faction. They should have been a dominating heel faction on Raw, but instead they just booked them like a joke and just split the team up because they don't know what to do. They get bored of stuff. They literally get bored of things that are cool in fans' eyes, and then they just replace it with garbage. Let's be straight up. They replaced it with garbage. All right. We get Angel Garza backstage with Drew Gulak. Basically, what happens is that he has his rose, and Drew Gulak just confronts him, and he just proposes a match with Angel Garza, and Angel Garza basically says, if he wins, he's going to shove this rose up your ass. I swear to God, that's what he said. And we'll get back to that later. Yeah, we'll get back to that later because something similar happened. Shelton Benjamin is backstage and says that Cedric was in the Hurt Business because of Shelton. If Cedric continues down this road, he will respect Shelton. He will continue to survive and watch Alexander be a big star fizzling out. Next up, we got Angel Garza versus Drew Gulak. A match that happened out of nowhere. And yeah, Garza drop kicks Gulak. We get a running kick by Garza on Gulak. Spinning backbreaker by Garza on Gulak. Headbutt by Gulak. Headlock by Gulak. Clothesline by Garza. Drop kick by Garza. Running kick in the corner. A winged clipper by Angel Garza covering a 3 count. And yeah, what happens after that match? He literally shoved the rose up of Drew Gulak's ass. Like, why? Why? Why did you do that? Like, bro, that was not necessary at all. Maybe it's a sign of, oh, WWE's going to get edgy again. Like, bro, you don't... Okay, if you want to get edgy, at least make stuff serious. Instead, this is just a joke, okay? Nobody cared. Nobody cared about this. Nobody watched this match. This was terrible, and I didn't like it. Riddle backstage, acting high in front of the Viking Raiders, proceeds to go where Randy Orton is and says that it's an honor to be in a tag team with Randy Orton. And Randy Orton's basically like, and then Riddle's like, all right. Matt Riddle and Randy Orton, or RK Bro, versus Jackson, Riker, and Elias. Orton and Elias start. Orton works on Elias. Elias fights back. Riker tags in. Orton applies a wrist lock. Riddle tags in. Applies a wrist lock into an arm bar. Riker escapes. We get a bro mission by Riddle. Elias tags in. Jumping knee by Elias. Works on Riddle. Elbow by Elias. A cover and a 2 count. Riker tags in. Suplex by Elias on Riddle on Riker's knee. Cover and a 2 count. We get a slingshot suplex by Riker. Riddle fights back. Riker picks up Riddle. Riddle escapes and hits him with the knee. Both Riker and Elias tag their Riker and Riddle tag their partners. Orton works on Elias and Riker. Elias and Orton fight it outside. We got a side slam on Elias on the top of the announce table. We got a DDT by Orton. Riddle tags in. Riker interferes. RKO out of nowhere. We got a flowing bro by Riddle. 3 count for the win. RK Bro. Now, in the beginning of this review, I did say there was one little thing I liked about Raw, and it's Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. I have said before that they're treating Riddle like a joke, and they still are. They're still treating Riddle like a joke. This guy should be in the main event as well. But you know what? It is what it is. It's the main roster. They love changing stuff from NXT. But I will say this, though. I love the tag team combination with Orton and Riddle. I just think of it as hilarious. I'm not gonna lie. It's starting to grow on me, and I actually really enjoy that. RK Bro, I'm not gonna lie. He Riddle kind of gets me, like, he makes me laugh. You know, he makes me laugh and he's funny as hell. But still, I mean, there should be a little more seriousness to Matt Riddle. A little bit. I mean, Riddle is known to be like high and shit, but like, come on now. Be the Matt Riddle from NXT instead of being the Matt Riddle from the main roster. But of course, the main roster is the main roster and things are lame there. So it is what it is. We get a backstage interview with Drew McIntyre. Says that he doesn't care who wins who wins tonight. Talks about the attacks by T-Bar and Mace. Talks about regaining his WWE title. Braun Strowman comes in and basically says that he does not care and he will win the WWE title at WrestleMania Backlash. Yeah, nobody wants to see that, in my opinion. Like, I don't want to see Strowman win the belt. All right. We get Sheamus versus Mansoor. Both lock up. We get a headlock by Sheamus, shoulder tackle by Sheamus, slap by Sheamus, right hand by Mansoor, drop kick by Mansoor, roll up by Mansoor, 1 count. We get a clothesline from the top by Sheamus, sending Mansoor outside the ring. We get a kick by Sheamus, repeated shots to the chest of Mansoor, throws Mansoor on the barricade. Mansoor makes it to the ring, elbows by Mansoor. Mansoor gets some offense. We get a beautiful tornado DDT by Mansoor. We get a cover and a 2 count. Mansoor goes to the top. Sheamus catches him. Back body drop by Sheamus. Is about to go for a bro kick. Humberto Carrillo comes in and attacks Sheamus and causes a disqualification. Not like we haven't seen that before. Bro kick by Sheamus and a bro kick on Mansoor. Yeah, I know. We got another DQ, guys. But yeah. Well, WWE loves their DQs, right? Yeah, they do. All right, we get a Alexa Bliss segment. Again, I feel like I'm watching a horror movie with this. Alexa Bliss is great, but like at the same time, sometimes, when it comes to stuff like this in wrestling, I don't like over-the-top things in wrestling. Do it if it makes sense. But like when it comes to WWE standards, I mean, like they go just over the top sometimes. And like Alexa Bliss is not bad. I'm just saying, like they just love going over the top of things. She talks about her toy Lily. She says that Lily has gotten her hands dirty a few times. Says trouble seems to follow Lily wherever she goes. Says Lily told her a certain someone caught her eyes. You never know. Who knows? They're probably teasing on Bray Wyatt returning again, and then they'll bury him again. Like, because, like, how many times did they bury The Fiend? Like, how many times? Like, 3 times? My God. Like, come on now. Like, The Fiend ain't win. Bray Wyatt, I mean, he's buried. Okay? This guy got more burials than anybody else. But, yeah, it was an okay segment. All right. We get Lana and Naomi versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for the Raw. No, not the Raw. For the WWE Women's Tag Titles. Nia and Naomi start. Baszler tags in. We get an Enziguri by Naomi. Crossbody by Lana. We get a cover and a 2 count. A Russian leg sweep by Lana. Naomi tags in. We get a double team by Lana and Naomi on Baszler. Drop kick on Nia. Double face buster. Nia takes Naomi outside the ring. Reginald tries to interfere. Lana covers Baszler, but gets a 2 count. We get a Caribou clutch by Baszler on Lana. Lana taps out, and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler retains the women's tag titles. I'm not gonna lie though, I really enjoyed Naomi and Lana's double team. They were double teaming really well in this match, but I mean, like, I just don't care about the women's tag titles. Those titles are useless. Like if when they introduced those titles way back in 2019, if they had built up women's tag teams first and then introduce tag titles for the women, this tag team division would be awesome. But instead, they just hot-shotted it and just introduced the belts when there were no tag teams at all, and they just had to put wrestlers together, and boom, you got your tag team. They're not real tag teams, You have to have legit tag teams. Legit. If you watch Impact Wrestling, the Knockouts tag team titles in Impact are more important than the WWE Women's Tag titles. Let's be straight up. Like, a real tag team is Fire and Flava with Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. That's a real women's tag team. But like for example, like Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, that's not a real tag team. Those are just 2 women that were just put together and boom, you got your tag team. To me, that's not a real tag team. And other people think that the same way as I do. All right, we get Lashley and MVP backstage at Gorilla. MVP talks about how Lashley will beat Strowman, Bobby Lashley. And yeah, we get Bobby Lashley versus Braun Strowman. Overall, what are my thoughts on this match? This match was not great. I mean, for a main event of Raw, main events from Raw, for me, the main event when it comes to Raw are just not interesting in my opinion. I just don't care about them. But yeah, it is what it is. We get all right, this match starts, both lock up. We get a waist lock by Lashley on Strowman in the corner. Lashley tries to do a shoulder tackle on Strowman, but no sells it. Braun works on Lashley, takes him outside the ring. We get a splash in the corner by Strowman. Boot by Lashley, and then we get a cover and a 2 count. Strowman fights back. McIntyre comes out, and when we come back from commercial break, he is on commentary. Lashley drops McIntyre. We get a cover and a 2 count. Sends Strowman in between the top and the middle turnbuckles on the ring post. Suplex by Lashley. We get a cover and a 2 count. Lashley is continuing to work on Strowman. Big right hand by Lashley on Strowman. Strowman later drops Lashley after Lashley was on the top rope. Cover and a 2 count. Splash in the corner by Strowman. Suplex by Strowman. Lashley tries to apply the hurt lock on Strowman, but Strowman drops Lashley. Strowman runs towards Lashley, but hits McIntyre. Run for the tracks! Says that new commentator. What's his name? I forgot his name, but that new lead commentator, run for the tracks. That's what he said. Spear by Lashley and wins. Mclntyre claymores Lashley and later Strowman. And then it was announced next week, as I said earlier, McIntyre versus Lashley, typical WWE booking. Overall thoughts on the match, I didn't care for the match. I thought it was pretty lackluster, and I wasn't invested at all, mainly because of how badly the show was booked. I mean, every week the show is terribly booked. I mean, SmackDown is a much better show than Raw. And look, SmackDown still has its flaws, and SmackDown is not a perfect show, but SmackDown is not a bad show to the point where it makes me want to change the channel. This show is terrible. This show is god-awful to the point where from the first segment, I just want to change the channel. SmackDown is getting 10 times better. Is 10 times better than Raw. I don't want to say SmackDown nowadays is 2016 SmackDown, but, I mean, come on now. This show is terrible. But, yeah, that was my Raw review. This show was god-awful. I did not enjoy it whatsoever. The only thing that I really enjoyed and was kind of entertained by was RK Bro, Randy Orton, and Matt Riddle. That's it. Everything else, garbage. But yeah, that was my Raw review. Be on the lookout for Thursday. It's my Dynamite review. Of course, we got Blood and Guts, which is going to be a big night of AEW Dynamite. And yeah, and also Saturday for my SmackDown review. And yeah, please like, subscribe, comment, push that bell for notifications. And this is Broken Havoc. Signing out.